Welcome to Matters of Decorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. Alignment. This is a concept in role-playing games that can give you a fast and dirty shorthand for how a player character's, or even a non-player character's general behavior is going to run. First brought out in the very first edition of Dungeons & Dragons and included in pretty much every edition past then, maybe not all of them. The alignment system has had varying different degrees of effect on what is around the player character and how the player character behaves. For those unfamiliar, there are two axes. There is good to evil, with neutral in the center, and there is lawful to chaotic, again with neutral in the center. Two axes, 3 different positions on each axis, so 9 different potential alignments. Lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good, lawful neutral, true neutral, chaotic neutral, lawful evil, neutral evil, chaotic evil. And these alignments have had various effects throughout the editions. At one point, every one of a particular alignment had a language common to that alignment. They had access to planes of reality common to their alignment, where you could go where everyone was chaotic neutral. That'd be an interesting dimension to go to. What classes you could take. Assassins were evil, paladins were lawful good, and you were limited to what you could do and how you could advance by your alignment. It was one of the first faction systems, really, that you knew who you could trust because they had the same alignment as you, unless they were chaotic evil, and then no one could trust them. Okay. Chaotic neutral, we probably couldn't trust them either. Modern editions have reduced the more extreme effects. There are no longer common alignment languages or common alignment planes. There are fewer restrictions on what you can do based on your alignment. I've tried to frame alignment in my head as something more than a set of guidelines. Lawful characters will do these. Chaotic neutral characters will do these. True neutral characters have these qualities. That's really efficient shorthand for giving a character motivations and drives and limitations. Putting the character in a particular box of behaviors they will and will not engage in. It's a little simplistic. Well, okay. Any game where I roll a d20 and add a number in order to determine whether I have hit someone with a sword or not, I'm not looking that much for realism in the depth of that character. I have swung swords. It's harder than that. However, shoehorning characters into these alignments I had issues until I understood what the axes of the alignments were, at least in my head. This is my theory. This is how I frame it. I frame it as the ends and the means. Good, neutral, evil, those are your ends. What are you trying to accomplish? What kinds of things are you going to do? If you're a good character, you are going to do things that benefit the general population. You're going to do what is best for the most possible people. You are going to save people from danger. You are going to sacrifice yourself if needed to see to it that others do not need to sacrifice themselves or be sacrificed. If you're a neutral character, you don't have a particular end in mind. We'll get back to neutral, particularly true neutral. For an evil character, well, the opposite of doing everything that you can for the common good is doing everything you possibly can for yourself. And you will sacrifice other people for your survival or your ends. You will seek to harm people for your own benefit, even if it is just your enjoyment. You will cause injury in order to see to it that your agendas are met. The Palladium System took an interesting twist on this alignment system with their own alignment system, which went from scrupulous to unprincipled to selfish. And I rather like that interpretation. That being, you will do everything you can for as many people possible. You have no core principles to operate off of, or you will do what is necessary to benefit yourself irregardless of other people's wants, needs, feelings, or safety. So that is your ends. That is what you're trying to do. You're trying to benefit other people at your expense, or benefit yourself at the expense of other people. Good to evil. I think that's a pretty good definition, actually. There are a lot of much more flowery and esoteric definitions of what good and evil are. In the absence of a religious framework for the question, I think that the benefiting others for one's at sacrifice of oneself, as opposed to the benefiting oneself to the sacrifice of others, works in this framework pretty well. Then there is the means. At the lawful end of the spectrum, you are going to follow the rules. You are going to do what is permissible to do and not do what is not permissible to do by the laws of the municipality that you are in, or the municipality that governs your actions. You could go to another country with different laws, but enact the laws of your own country while you are there. That is how paladins function. But you are operating under a unified code of laws. There are things you will do. There are things you will not do. And you can always, at the end of the day, justify what you did, good or evil, by a set of laws that back it up. Yes, there are evil sets of laws. A country with an evil king that is being run on the backs of its citizens will have a set of laws by which that is completely legal. And that, though evil, a lawful evil character will see to it that those laws are pursued. A lawful good character raised in that system still has to follow those laws and attempt to use those laws laid down to do good, which is a very interesting character dynamic and makes for a really difficult play, but a very rewarding one. On the other end, chaotic. Chaotic characters do not care what the guidelines are. They will do what is necessary as they see it at the moment to get done what they need to get done. A chaotic good character does not care about the laws. Well, the laws say we can't free this person. Well, the hell with the laws. I'm going to go free this person anyway. Screw you. Try and stop me. Oh, you're trying to stop me. Well, no. Shank. A chaotic evil character, those are terrifying forces of nature. I'm going to do what it takes to serve my needs, regardless of anyone's rules, guidelines, laws, or what have you, even my own. Chaotic characters need not be consistent and generally are not consistent in their actions because there is not a unified code of behavior that is governing how they handle things. Chaotic good characters are frightening because they will do what they believe is best, right or wrong, and if what they believe is best changes mid-action, their course of action will alter. They are flexible, but they lack the strength of a code of behavior to justify their actions once the actions have been taken. There are consequences in actions like this, or should be. Dead center on both of the axes is the neutral alignment. If you have a neutral motivation, if your ends are neutral, well, you have something that needs to get done. It may be survival. It may be growth. It may be something that sees to your needs. It may be something that sees to other people's needs. It is not necessarily selfish, nor is it sacrificing. It is just an existence. It is hard to pin down characters with a neutral end to their morality because they may not know what is motivating them moment to moment. Survival, existence, the support and forwarding of nature. For the most part, druids are neutral. Your means are neutral as well if you are a true neutral character. Neutral ends, neutral means. And having neutral means, yes, laws may suit, or the flexibility of not adhering to laws may suit. A lot of players take true neutral as carte blanche to act as they wish. True neutral is not carte blanche to act as you wish. True neutral is a box. You do not have a means to fall back on. You are allowing the situation to mold itself and you are acting within it. You do not have an ends to guide you. You have the moment and what is happening right now. There are people attacking us. I had better defend myself, probably by removing some of them from play so that there are less people for me to defend myself from. Those people are attacking something I am interested in. I should stop them from doing that. Those people are trying to save something I am interested in. I don't know if they understand that. I had better explain this to them. True neutral is hard to play. I discourage people from playing true neutral characters because I have never seen it used as anything but carte blanche to not care about anyone's motivations or ends, and that ends up being much more like a chaotic character or even an evil one. In Star Wars, particularly Star Wars role-playing, you have the whole Force dynamic. So you've got the light side of the Force and the dark side of the Force. And the dichotomy that is presented are the Jedi and the Sith. The Jedi do the good things, the Sith do the bad things. But it is so much more complicated than that. And in more recent lore, in the center, there are the Gray Jedi, which tends to paint them as agents on the side of good, but using elements of evil, and that is not true. Jedi have access to certain specific powers because they are Jedi. There are things that Jedi can do that Sith cannot. Sith have access to very specific powers. There are things that Sith can do that Jedi cannot, and a Gray Jedi sitting in the middle of it all can use whatever they wish because they do not accept the moral limitations of these guidelines. They don't think the others have it right. So why not play a Grey Jedi so you can do all the cool stuff? A Jedi is guided by a very firm moral code. There are things you do not do if you are a Jedi. And the system, the D6 system from West End Games and subsequent systems have attempted to use mechanics to enforce this. You do things that are not part of the Jedi code. You start accumulating dark side points, and these are making you stronger and more reckless as you go along. The more dark side points you get, the more likely you are to get more dark side points. It is a slippery slope down into falling to becoming a Sith. A Sith, they did not necessarily have any mechanics for this Sith to accumulate light side points. If you do not engage in these darker, selfish, malevolent behaviors, or find a solution that takes you away from that system of behavior, you don't automatically start ascending back towards the light in a system where there is balance that should exist. Jedi act out of sacrifice. Jedi do not use the Force to injure people directly, using the alter ability to directly cause damage through telekinesis is a dark side thing. Using that would get you a dark side point. That includes Luke choking out the Gamorreans to get into Jabba's palace. A little bit of dark side there. A little bit of his father showing through. Jedi follow this code. Adherence to their traditions, adherence to a path in which they assist. They do not deny help to those who require it. It makes it problematic for a Jedi because there will be times when it is not expedient to follow the Jedi code. That is why it is a limitation. Sith, on the other hand, need to constantly pursue their own power and excellence at the expense of everyone and everything around them. They need to get stronger and more powerful, and they draw on their anger and their rage and their frustration, all of their negative emotions. They bundle those up and use them as a drive, and to set that aside, to not drive for your own ends, to not try and surpass your master, to not try to harness and build your stores of anger, makes one less of a Sith. Greysiders have something else entirely to contend with. A Greysider is not motivated by the light side of the Force. They do not have a system of traditions and rules that guides them into doing what is believed to be right. Greysiders do not give in to their rage and negative emotions as a regular course of action. They do not have a drive or motivation to exceed that which has come before them and themselves to drive them forward. Greysiders have the will of the Force as they perceive it. The light side, the dark side, the Force is a living thing. It is a force that surrounds us and binds us. It follows your commands and it guides your actions. It has a will. And a Greysider empties themselves of their own will to follow what they perceive the Force to be telling them to do. Yes, a Greysider has access to a tremendous amount of power, but they have access to a complete lack of personal motivation. They are doing the Force's will. That is where they derive their abilities from. True neutral characters in our classic D&D alignment system do not have laws or a drive towards sacrifice, nor a drive towards harm pushing them forward. They are empty of a personal motivation. They do not ascribe to a system of beliefs that gives them guidelines, nor do they surrender all of their rigidity to existing structures to embrace the flexibility of the chaotic. Animals are true neutral more often than not. A lot of monsters, surprisingly, are true neutral because they have the motivation of existing in the moment, trying not to eat or to eat. That is why druids are true neutral. You're in the moment. Nature has a need. What do you do? Someone is attacking nature, you attack them back because that is the flow of the moment. You need nature to be as it is. You need the system that you exist in to remain the system that you exist in. True neutral is stasis. A lawful character believes that the ends do not justify the means. It doesn't matter how good your actions are if you abandon the laws to get them done. Yes, you saved all those children, but look at all the laws you had to break to do it. Thanks for saving the kids, but you got to go to jail. That's the law. A chaotic character believes that the means justify, that the ends justify the means. Yes, you saved all those children, and yeah, you had to burn down the courthouse to do it, but you saved the kids. Awesome. Let's go have a drink. I play a lot of chaotic good characters. I enjoy the flexibility. I'm kind of random myself when it comes to what systems I want to adhere to as far as enforcing or denying my morality. And getting the job done is generally more important to my characters than how the job gets done. I enjoy playing lawful evil villains because lawful evil villains are amongst the most sympathetic. Yes, he has got to burn down the orphanage because he has a writ from the evil emperor that says that the orphanage needs to get burned down. And, well, you can oppose him, and probably should. Burning down orphanages is terrible. It's not his fault he loves his job, but he's got a piece of paper that says he needs to do it. And he's not going to be too upset as he's burning down the orphanage. And he can turn around and justify having done it. Look, I was doing my job. You can almost understand that. I can enjoy doing an evil job because I'd have burned down an orphanage on my off time if I had the clearance to do it. I'd fill out the paperwork to burn down an orphanage. Burning down orphanages is fun. But hey, look, today that was my job. I would not have burned down this orphanage because, well, it's kind of far. I don't want to travel that far, but it's my job. Got the writ. Without the whole everyone of the same alignment speaks the language thing or has their own alignment club, without limiting classes by alignment. If a paladin serves a specific god, and gods have different alignments, and a paladin can serve their god within a step or two of their alignment. A lawful neutral paladin can serve a lawful good god. and going to do it in an interesting fashion, and they're going to be doing it living in the moment, but that's what they are doing. It lends to an exploration of why the character is doing what they're doing and how they elect to do it. It takes some of the guesswork out of sitting around the table going, well, what's the plan? How would my character handle this? Well, the alignment system gives you a set, well, this is what I'm going to try and accomplish, and this is how I would do it. It's super useful. Not every role-playing game has an alignment system, but just about all of them have a way for you to simulate it. Champions, you've got your codes of honor. GURPS, you've got your senses of duty and honor and the code by which you live by. The victory system, you've got self-imposed limitations. What limits your actions? What code do you follow? A lot of this, is the White Wolf system will hand you your code depending on what group you are with and what powers you have and how you acquired them. You will have a tendency towards doing things a particular way, or not, but for the most part, you align with your particular group. You can come up with an entirely different means for determining why your character would do what it's doing and how your character would do why they're doing it. But as long as there's a system in place, it pays to learn it and to really understand it. If you think your alignment is simply allowing you to do everything that you want to do, you probably don't understand it. Even chaotic characters do have a certain amount of limitation. They are not only not bound by laws, but somewhat opposed to them. So when you are going to do something by the law, the chaotic character is rankling the whole time. It's like, can I just burn one thing down to get this done, please? Okay, that might explain some of the things I've been doing in recent D&D games. I should probably revisit that. In original D&D and a couple of editions in, if you wanted to change your alignment, you had to fight death and make saves and 16 attacks around and try not to, you weren't going to survive it. It was rough. You did something out of alignment, here comes death to challenge you for an alignment change. Lose X number of abilities because your alignment has changed, and maybe see if you have to pick up a different class. You've lost everything. Which is a little drastic when one's abilities are derived from their alignment. I don't think it's nearly as big a thing now. People change, and characters change. And watching a good character fall to evil, that's a tremendous villain origin. Watching a lawful character go chaotic, this hasn't worked. Now I'm going to do things my way. It presents an interesting set of dynamics that makes the game and the character jump a little bit more. There are stakes, and you understand where your character's position is relative to what everything is trying to get done. And that leads to some fascinating games. And some burned character sheets, but that's another story. Well, thank you for following me along on this particular theoretical rant through the alignment systems. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. Didn't enjoy the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If you have not subscribed to my channel, why not? My channel is awesome. Feel free to hit the subscribe button, and if you do hit the subscribe button, hit the little notification bell next to it so you're alerted as soon as my videos become available. Do you have your own experiences with the alignment system, an alignment that you prefer to play? Why? Leave me a comment. Anything you want to hear me talk about, subjects you want me to cover, go ahead and leave me a comment. I will love getting a comment. You will love leaving me a comment. If you would like to support the channel in a substantial manner, I invite you to hit me up on my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps. It allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I am Scott Corum. This is what has mattered to me, and I will see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum.